And that leaves me with the honor to announce our very first speaker, Causing Ripples. Definitely Causing Ripples will be Georgia, and I never say her last name. Sorry, that for all the animal lovers here, by the way, this fur is very much alive, but very needy. Georgia is going to talk to us about gamifying and sustainability. And there's really no words other than that. I'm happy to count her as my friend. I know she's very funny. She always makes me feel better. So I can only say enjoy the next 45 minutes because guaranteed you will feel better.
Thank you, my dearest friend Anka. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Green Action ELT. I am beyond happy and excited to open this year's conference. My name is Georgia Papamichailidou, and if I can just share my screen so that we can get our little rightful start. There we go. All right, so I am just going to share. There we go. All right. So hello, everybody. As I said before, my name is Georgie. I'm a school principal, a teacher trainer, and the proud trustee of IATEFL and Green IATEFL, which I am representing today. Now, for those of you who don't know, I come from Greece, the land of olive oil, sunshine, and Aesop. Now, Aesop was a storyteller. You know, the stories with animals about viable life lessons, this guy. And one of his stories that is quite famous that is related to sustainability is the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Do we know that story? So feel free to write your answers in the chat. I will be monitoring this chat quite a lot. And by the way, as I always say in my sessions, these are interactive sessions as well. So feel free to make mistakes. Feel free to contribute because you're making your own ripple as well. So I want to start this session by telling you the story of the ant and grasshopper, but with a little bit of a twist. Now, picture this. It's early June. The grasshopper is getting ready for summer school. He has 8 hours of back-to-back classes, and naturally, what does he do? He's photocopying like crazy, but he's feeling very well organized. So he's got folders, plastic sleeves, he's ready to go to class. And of course, the copier is his best friend. Now meet his other colleague, the ant. The ant is preparing in a different way. He's quite chill. He's got his laptop working under the sun and saving PDF, sharing links, and he's keeping the copier cues. He's also confident and ready. Now, fast forward a couple of weeks. It's chaos. Teenagers everywhere, and boom, the copier is breaking down. Of course, our friend the grasshopper is spiraling. He is panicking. He doesn't know what to do. He's getting stressed. And his colleague, the ant, is there to calm him down. So the question that I have for all of you is, what's the moral of the story? Take a few seconds to give me your ideas. What's the moral of the story? Write your answers in the chat box. Again, no wrong answers. Just write your thoughts in the chat box. What was the moral of the story? Now, of course, while you're writing your answers here, what I can tell you is sustainability isn't just about paper versus PDF, not at all. Sustainability isn't just about what we use, but it's about what we sustain. And there are 3 different areas that we need to talk about when we talk about sustainability. So when we look at sustainability in depth, we're looking not only at the environment, but also at the social aspect and the economic aspect as well. This is what sustainability is all about. So considering this, we need to look at these questions. Are we really sustaining our people? Are we sustaining our values? And are we sustaining our systems and resources? With these three questions, we're going to go ahead and, of course, have a look at our own practices and reflect. So, one thing that we can do as educators, of course, is not just cut down on worksheets and stop photocopying, because this is not what we're here for. As educators, we have the responsibility to help people grow, to feel empowered, to think, adapt, and lead, because this is what we do as educators. And in this session, we're going to look at these three key aspects. We're going to talk about intergenerational responsibility, which is what future generations inherit from us. We're also going to see sustainable leadership, because leadership is not just about managing people. And we will talk about emotional sustainability. Now, I want you to be ready, because for each of these categories, we will be looking at specific activities. So we're going to get our hands dirty. So are you ready to participate? Let me see in the chat who's ready to participate. Let's see. So let's create ripples. I love this expression quite a lot. Excellent, amazing. Thank you very much for writing your answers in the chat. And let's start, of course, with intergenerational responsibility. Now, intergenerational responsibility is what examples we provide to younger people as well, how we model positive behavior that relates to sustainability. And I want you to think about this. I will start by asking you your why. Why are you here today? And I want you to answer it from your perspective. Why are you here today? Write your answers in the chat box. That's a nice little task that you can do with your students as well, not only to see their goals, but also to get them thinking from different perspectives. So let me see. I can see the answers are coming in. So why are you here today? People are writing to learn more, inspiration and teaching ideas, to have new green teaching ideas. I love that. Because I love English and care about our world and the environment, what I can learn, gain for the future. Fantastic, working and learning together. Nature is everything for me. You guys are brilliant. Now, hold the thought. I want you to answer this question again, why are you here today? But this time from your students' perspective. So what do you want your students to get out of all of the wonderful things that you will be learning today in all of the sessions? So let's see your answers again in the chat. Excellent. So again, you're answering the question, why are you here today from your students' perspective? And the answers are connection and purpose, knowledge, but not feel bombarded with it. That's very interesting. Lovely. Okay, keep the answers coming. I love that. Greener teacher, to give them a sense of what action they can take. Exactly. And then finally, I want you to answer, I promised you last time, answer the same question, why are you here today? But from Green Action ELT's perspective. So what do you think Green Action ELT wants you to get from the conference this year? Let's see your answers as well. So I can see you're bombarding me with answers, which is fantastic because you're very energetic. Well done, everybody. So I can see people are answering to be better prepared for the future, confidence to try something different. I love this. A sense of hope and purpose, a feeling of purpose, fantastic empowerment to aware them for a green environment through my green activities. Fantastic. Ways I can help the environment by teaching English. You're absolutely incredible. And of course, making ripples into a wave. I absolutely love that. As I said before, all of the activities we will be looking at today aim at your classes. This little activity is a very good way to encourage students to think from different perspectives. You can, for example, set any topic that is related to sustainability. For example, what effect do you think recycling has in our neighborhood or in our local community? And you can ask them to answer the topic from different perspectives. For example, from the next generation's perspective, from the stray animals' perspective, or from the government's perspective. Asking the why allows us to reflect and respond to different situations. Now, let's go to another activity. I want to welcome you to my house, so I'm going to show you my bathroom, okay? But please bear in mind, I'm a little messy, okay? So it's a little bit untidy. So please bear in mind, don't judge me, okay? So I am going to show you my bathroom for only 30 seconds. Yes? And in these 30 seconds, I want you to notice everything that I have in my bathroom. Okay? Again, do not judge. And your 30 seconds start now. Okay, so what do you notice? Let's see, 30 seconds only. Okay, only 30 seconds. And another 10. And I'm trying to distract you. And there we go. All right, so what do you notice? Write your answers in the chat box. Oh my goodness. I can already feel the judgment. I'm joking, of course. And let's see. So a lot of plastic bottles, too many products, messy and plastic products, lots of plastic, fantastic. Okay. I feel that you're probably telling me that I'm using too many plastic products, right? I think that's what you're telling me, probably. So, exactly, fantastic. So what I want you to do now is I want you to give me some advice. I'm probably going to continue being messy. So let's keep that. I'm not looking for organizational advice, but let's help me become a little bit more sustainable so that I practice what I preach. So what can I do? What can I change, for example? What advice have you got for me? What can I use instead of one and another? So I can see, the suggestions are coming in already. So I can see things like try solid soap and shampoo, reuse bottles, change to glass, buy reusable containers if possible. Two-in-one products. That's very interesting. Only one of its thing, liquids in reusable bottles using refills. Fantastic. Now, if I ask you to write these in a sentence using could, so could you give me these questions? And also, Anne, thank you. I will indeed buy an organizer rack. Lovely. So give me your suggestions by using could. Let's see. Oh, very good. Ladies, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I really like the way that you turned it into a question. Could you try to use solid soap? Very good. You could try to use less plastic. Fantastic. Now, let's rephrase that and use a little bit of passive voice. Let's say bigger bottle should be, let's start with this sentence, like da should be da. So let's try a little bit of checking as well. Excellent, you're doing a brilliant job. So of course we're doing this just as an exercise, but this is something that can help our students consider different options, because don't forget that in education, we have not just the power to create ripples, but we have the power to create waves, not because of our lessons and little activities like this, but because we can create healthy habits. This is one of my favorite exercises. So, unfortunately, this is not my real bathroom, of course. This is an AI generated bathroom. But the reason why we have little activities like this is so that students can start thinking that, "Oh, okay, so I can start using something reusable or soap instead of shampoo." And and I really like your ideas because this is how you can combine English language learning with sustainable action as well. Okay, so I feel that I put myself a little bit under the spotlight. So let's take the attention away from my bathroom and let's go to the next activity. So we have got here the story cubes. Now, I'm pretty sure that the majority of you must be familiar with the story cubes. This is a board game that I used when I first started teaching, but I still use the story cubes in my staff meetings, in games that I play with my family and my friends. And there is a little activity that I like doing with you all. Now, you can create, of course, your own story. You don't need to buy a specific product. You can just either use little blank dice and you can write whatever you want, or you could use this website. This website allows you to generate different story cubes. And let's say that the topic is the environment and sustainability in general. So, with these story cubes that you see here, what sentence could you create that is related to sustainability? So, let's see. Let me see your wonderful ideas. Put your answers in the chat box again. Let's see. Chris has kindly put the link in the chat box. Thank you very much, Chris. So it's a nice little tool that you can use with your classes to create stories. And this time we're creating stories on sustainability. So using these dice, what story could you make? For example, I could look at this little dice here and I could say, we need to start observing how we humans destroy the environment and the effect on temperatures and come up with ideas to fix what we're destroying, for example. So, Lucy saying, I had an idea. Could I see how to mend my umbrella with the fish design? Lucy, what can you explain, please? Please write your answer in the chat box. Excellent. Rachel is saying, I had a light bulb moment one morning. Very good. Okay, so with this little activity, you can get your students to relate to sustainability by getting them to tell stories about sustainability. And of course, we can guide the students into thinking this way. So if, for example, I tell you, okay, so we see this, if I tell you to put the fish and this little drill in a sentence, but not as they actually are, but make a sentence about sustainability, use them as symbols. How would you use that activity as a symbol? Let's see. Let me see your suggestions. I must say that you're all very, very creative, and I really appreciate a creative audience. So well done, everybody. Now, again, as I said before, these are little activities that you can use with your students. They're very flexible, low prep, they don't require any photocopying, and they're very, very easy to use as well. So, Galina is asking why the dice. As I mentioned before, so this is a very famous board game, the Story Cubes, where you can roll the dice and create stories, sentences, get the students' creativity active. This is something that I started using in my teaching experience. You don't need to buy any games. You can use blank dice. There are also ways you can print a template of a dice, laminate it, and then write with a whiteboard marker and create your own activity. And we can relate that with sustainability by guiding the students to be creative. What I like about the story cubes is that they can be used as symbols to start thinking about sustainability and creative solutions as well. So let's move on to a little bit underrated, I would say, aspect of sustainable leadership. Now, lesson observations. Now, one thing that I want to tell you is because what we choose to highlight, right, becomes what people start to notice. And what we praise becomes what people repeat. As a manager myself, I am focusing on lesson observations as part of what we can do better, of little ripples that can create habits, very good habits as well. And lesson observations, I would say, are an example of a classroom practice that can be a little bit underrated because a lot of people consider them as a necessary evil, whereas sometimes we need to see them as underrated tools that can help us reflect. So, my question to you is, are you including eco-friendly practices in your post-observation feedback? You don't need to be a manager, you don't need to be an academic manager. Even if you are a teacher leading by example, you can still consider your teaching context, your lesson observations, and answer this question. So, what do you think? Are you including eco-friendly practices in your post-observation feedback? Let me see your answers. We also had in the chat a very nice story from the Story Cube, so this is incredible. Very well done, Backtower. I'm really sorry if I didn't say your name right. Okay, so with lesson observations, now, as I said before, sustainable leadership doesn't have to do only with managing people, but it is about how we reflect on our own practices. So my academic team and I, we have recently added a new section to our post-observation feedback that focuses on sustainability. Not in a big way, but it is just one way to start noticing patterns. So for example, this is just an example of an observation, and where so the section that we have included is called eco-friendly teaching practices. And I just wrote to that teacher that I really like the idea of using charades in class, but the slips of paper, though they're a great tool, they're not sustainable. And I wrote a suggestion for that particular activity as well. Of course, what I need to tell you is that this should go beyond one school as well, because lesson observations are part of teacher development. And I would like to see our accreditors, the organizations that certify our teaching qualifications as well, CELTA, Delta, the British Council, English UK, we would like to see in the criteria and in lesson observation feedback little comments that refer to sustainability as well. How sustainable is our teaching education as well? I think that this is a very important question that we need to start asking ourselves. And then, of course, by reflecting on these activities, on eco-friendly teaching practices, we create habits. Now, having said that, as I said before, lesson observations are part of our teacher development. But apart from that, we also have our So in our CPD programs, for the people who are not familiar with the term CPD, we're talking about continuous development, professional development. So in our CPD programs, we sometimes add sustainability there as a ticking box exercise. But let me ask you this question. How often do you include sustainability in your CPD cycles? or in your staff meetings, or in conversations you have by the water cooler, for example. Let me know again in the comments, in the chat box. Let me know your own practices. If you say no, again, it's absolutely fine, because this is what we're here for. Remember, you're talking to someone with a messy bathroom. So don't worry about sustainability if you do not use these too often. So I can see people are writing somewhat, we could do more, I think, not often enough, very regularly. That's brilliant. Now, with continuous professional development, we can build cycles of sustainability topics. For example, something that I've recently started doing with my team is sustainability talks after every staff meeting. And it is in the staff meeting minutes as well, so that it can start becoming a regular topic in our conversations. Because when it becomes a regular topic, that's when people start thinking about this way. So let's move on. I really like your ideas as well. And please feel free to keep them coming, because I really like when people say no, or most of the time, especially with conference workshops, there's so many opportunities, so many resources out there to share with your teams too. Another little example that I can show you, I can tell you as well, is that I send every week an email, like a newsletter, to my team about best practices in ELT. And every 2 weeks, that focuses on sustainability, little activities that they can do in class, because sustainability and leadership is about developing people. It's about praising them for their good practices as well. Okay, and now let's move on to our next part, which is emotional sustainability. This is a very important topic, something that I hold dear to my heart, and I will tell you why. Because I was in a conference recently, and someone said to me, the planet will not heal if its people are exhausted. And this is part of sustaining our people. And this is very important, because that's something that I want us to do together. Okay. So there is this beautiful website called futureme.org. So futureme.org, I'm going to put this here in the chat. And through futureme.org, you can write a letter to your future self. So I wrote a letter to my future self, and I wrote, Dear future Georgia, this time last year you were presenting your Green Action ELT session to a fantastic group of participants. You nailed it, obviously, but I wondered, do they still remember anything? Or did they just take screenshots of your bathroom? Wherever they are now, are they following practices to sustain their people, their resources, and their values? I hope they're smashing their sustainable goals, and I can't wait to meet them again in the Green Action ELT Conference 2026 to find out more. Love you, Georgia and Georgia. So, what I'm going to invite you to do is, I would like you to write a letter to your future self. What's something that you would like to take from this session that you would write to remind yourself 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 3 years from now? Let me be a little bit sneaky and ask you to write this in the chat box. This website allows you to send an email to yourself after a specific amount of time. You can either make it public or you can keep it private. This is something that I always like to doing after conferences that I attend. So I can remember that, this time last year, I was in this conference and I learned this and this and this. So let me see, from this session, what we've been through today, what is something that you would like to write to yourself? Let's do a little bit of reflective practice together. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Don't worry. So, and write beautiful things about you as well, because you're talking to your future self. Don't forget. I can see people to visualize a goal, to be confident. Very good. Okay. Let's see. Keep reminding my staff about the importance of green actions. Give them easy activities to do in class. Ah, that's very interesting, Lucy. Thank you. Okay, so write a letter to your future self. Let's see, what would you like to take from this session to remind yourself in a year's time? To be well balanced and relaxed, love myself, keep trying. Very good. Excellent, everybody. Now, I think that if there's one thing that I would like to take from this conference is that I would like to see more organizations making ripples. I would like to see more organizations talking about criteria that relate to sustainability. We talked about sustainable leadership. We talked about lesson observations. We talked about our classroom practices. We looked at specific activities that can help us think about our sustainable practices. And this is extremely important as well. So let's see. We also have people writing, keep trying, it's a beautiful day, don't let it slip away. What I should do more and what I should do less in the future to help in the green movement further. That's very interesting. Keep permanent, not temporary. Noria, is that about my bathroom and the products they use to have caused more ripples? Don't forget to incorporate reasons for sustainability in your lessons. Very good. And to practice green inside the classroom and teach accordingly, that we can contribute something as a teacher in an environment. Fantastic. Excellent. These are all fantastic ideas, and I would encourage you at the end of the conference today to write down 2-3 things that you want to remember from this conference and write a letter to your future self. And in a year, it will be very nice to receive that email and to be encouraged to say, oh yeah, I went to the Green Action ELT conference and I learned these wonderful things. So let's revisit those. And I can see you're all writing wonderful things, like, and I'm really happy to read them aloud because, as I said before, we're learning from each other. And Anna is saying, create that natural garden you've been talking so much about with your students. Settle in one place to achieve it. Anna, I couldn't agree more. That's something that I am hoping that you will do, and I am aspiring to follow your example as well. Excellent. Oh, and I like the questions. Ladies, I like your questions. How much greener of a teacher have you become? Do your classes now include more sustainable activities? How much more sustainable has your school begun? So very, very good ideas, everybody. Now, I am going to end my session with a little bit of a personal story. And there we go. Now, about 10 years ago, when I used to live in Greece, I used to go to my local gym. And the gym owner and I became very close friends. And we used to spend a couple of hours after the workouts to just talk about different things. And when I announced to him that I was going to move to the UK, he completely out of the blue, he asked me the question, do you know why dinosaurs went extinct? And that question threw me off a little bit. Because I was thinking, why is he asking me about dinosaurs and why they went extinct? And then he told me, you either adapt or you disappear.
30 minutes, Anna, just so that you know.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm finishing anyway. We're going to continue in a second. Thank you. And I really like this idea, the you either adapt or you disappear, because even though it was funny and it was random, it landed with me. And to this day, I carry this moment as a reminder that sustainability is not just about resources. It's not just about projects that we do in our schools. It is not how we create sustainable classrooms, but it's about how we can help our people, our resources. It's about a little reminder about the grasshopper and the ant and how we can sustain everything that creates our beautiful world, what it is. Okay. So now the stage is yours. What I would like to invite you to do is I would like you, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you so much for your wonderful ideas. So I would like you now, because as I said before, we're all creating ripples, and I would like everybody to write one little sustainable thing that they would like to try in their classes. So let me know your thoughts. Let's see. Let me see your thoughts before we say goodbye and before we go to the questions of the day. So let's have a look at this together. And thank you all very much for your beautiful words. Excellent. Nori is saying that some remarkable ideas disappear if they don't receive care. This is absolutely right. Chris is writing, open the windows and listen to the outside, then talk about it. Chris, this is such a wonderful idea. And something that I want to share with everybody as well is that I have a little activity where I show pictures of windows to the students, and I ask them to talk about which view they like, how they could improve those views, how they can talk about the view of from those windows. And Chris, thank you for the idea as well. Now, if of course I open my window, the only thing that you will hear is the rain, which is very beautiful as well. So Nori is saying gamify lessons, more collaborative projects online. I hope my students can adapt to a sustainable future. I can see, I'd like to use your activity with your messy bathroom with my students. Absolutely. And one thing that is shocking to me as well is that, especially kitchens, you don't need to show your actual kitchen, not at all. You can find a picture from a magazine so that you can reuse it again and again, or you can get AI to create a picture for you. So it really depends on what resources you have available. And especially in kitchens, we see a lot of products that are not reusable. I must say that I'm a massive fan of yogurt, well, coming from Greece, and all of my yogurt supplies are not sustainable. Yes, they are recyclable, but every time I buy yogurt, I feel a little bit guilty. So that's something that you can do with your students. I can see more suggestions coming in, so thank you very much. So we can see things like get students to write a list of do's and don'ts about sustainability. Excellent. Connect with nature more. Outdoor classes, walking and enjoying nature while practicing the language. Always find ways to engage learners and use technology more as teens are interested in that in any case, and therefore use less paper. Sultana, that is a very interesting idea. And what I'm going to say is that, yes, on the one hand, technology is very useful for us so that we can reduce paper. But on the other hand, we also need to use technology sustainably. We need to start talking about how we can use technology sustainably, not just downloading resources, not just using electricity and the computers without thinking that, oh, okay, so maybe we're spending a little bit more time on computers. I think that the conversation needs to take place as to how we can turn the attention a little bit away from the screens, a little bit away from the handouts. The conversation needs to happen because, as we said before, sustainability is about sustaining our people as well. And one part of sustaining our people is not getting people to feel guilty about what kind of resources that they use, but also to take a break from those resources. Of course, you can print a few handouts. That's not a massive problem. But the real question is, do I really need that? Will I reuse it? Will the students reuse it? Is there any way I can make it more efficient? Excellent. So, as we said before, these are all little suggestions that you can use, of course, in your classes so that you can lead by example. So, Rachel, thank you very much for your lovely comments as well. And thank you all very much for your ideas as well. So, questions. It's time now for the questions. I think that we are ahead of time. Chris and Anka, give me the go ahead if we are okay with time. Fantastic. So Let's see if you have any questions or any comments or anything that you want to add to this space as well, because this is a conference where we're learning from each other. And of course, we are in a position where we can just reflect and look at what we're doing and how we can do it better.